Welcome. Today on my channel, I have a special guest, a friend, a wingman, none other than Balthus Daygame coming to us from Ghent over in Belgium. I'm here in Belgrade. We've just got ourselves set up for a conversation. So just to introduce Balthus, he's a 31-year-old entrepreneur slash remote worker who came into Daytime Approach around about a year ago, has been making absolutely ridiculous strides in Daytime Approach and his life in general over the last year. And we met for the first time in Barca. We winged each other in Barca. We all just had an amazing time out there. Balthus was out there for a whole month, just caning the streets and just upping his experience levels of his daytime cold approach and his dating life. And then we decided to meet up again this summer. So he's been out in Belgrade with me earlier this summer, just trying out a new location, checking out the streets over here in Serbia. So, Balthus, how are you doing? How is life back in Ghent?
Good. What an introduction. It just kept on coming. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is going to be a blast. Life in Belgium is fine. I'm doing fine. Everything's fine. Um, yeah, as you said, it's if you think about it, it's kind of weird that the first time we met in person was last March in Barcelona. And before that, we were in contact, of course, through the entourage online, weekly meetings. That's how we've known each other for almost 2 years now, I think. Yeah.
It's weird to meet people, isn't it? Where it's weird to meet people where you've already known. Well, it's really cool actually to meet people where you've already known them for a while online, and then, but not just through some, Instagram or something. It's like we've had like deep conversations online before, and then you meet,
Yeah.
you kind of like straight away, you just straight in the flow. That's what I found with the guys from the entourage.
Absolutely. Definitely. The same thing I could say about Ephraim, Pool University. I met the guy in Barcelona as well. The same week I met you for the first time in real life, and within 30 minutes we were doing 2 sets together. That's just a great memory. I remember the first night I saw you was on La Rambla around midnight with Christian waiting for you. You were on the opposite side of La Rambla, and eventually we met each other. Had a little a drink somewhere, and then the next day, it was a Saturday, I believe. We spent the whole day, went up to Sagrada Familia, and did a very laid back, low energy, easygoing session together. But it was very enjoyable. We had like we got along quite well immediately, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very, very chill. It was a Saturday or Sunday, wasn't it? And just going around those streets, like stunning streets, leisurely pace, just chatting, getting to know each other, and then going in for sets as well. And I think, I think it's safe to say, like, our output in Belgrade was substantially higher velocity and volume compared to Barca, but I feel like Barca was that was fitting for the city, just to cruise around and we weren't really dodging any sets. We were just going in for the ones that seemed like a good.
Yeah, I
Good
remember. I
opportunity.
remember we had a similar, very almost a low energy in Barcelona. Definitely the first day, and we were not too eager to put in a lot of reps. We were kind of picky, both of us, and immediately our dynamic showed us that we were kind of helping each other to go in for approaches that otherwise we wouldn't have done. So and that was very helpful. I remember you approached a British girl
Mhm.
right before we were at the cathedral, and you weren't quite sure, but I kind of give you a little nod, a little push, and I feel like from that moment on we kept that dynamic together, and then going in for the first reps in Belgrade. For me, my first approach was in the Galleria Mall,
Mhm.
and also when I was there with you, it was my first approach, but also my first session in about 2 weeks. So I had a bit of a slow start, but I think one of the big differences between Barcelona and Belgrade is that in Belgrade the results were not so like abundantly positive, and it kind of, you know, frustrated us a little bit more, which pushed us to put in a lot more work, which is required.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
definitely it enhanced and improved the whole cold approach experience for me personally, and I'm sure for you it did the same thing.
Yeah, Barca was very chill, wasn't it? It was kind of like one shot, one kill. You go out and do three approaches, you might close three, if you're pretty proficient, or you just pick your shots. You kind of know who your girl is. You can kind of scope them out in advance. And yeah, Barca, in retrospect, well, we knew this anyway, but it's a very good place to approach. Everything is there. It's very open. There's lots of hot girls. It's more of a party kind of city. People are
Yeah.
coming into the city. Lots of tourists, lots of people from South America, different parts of Europe. So it was pretty amenable, to be honest. And yeah, Belgrade is a total shock to the system. And this is what I wanted to ask you as well, because I could see like the first few days in, when I first came out here in September, I didn't approach for a couple of days because I was just getting used to the city. It's a very different feel. All the architecture's different. The writing is all in Cyrillic.
Yeah.
People are well dressed, but they kind of look a bit more severe. So it's quite. It just feels very different. I remember going to Galleria, I think, on my second day, and just kind of I wasn't really even planning to do any approach, but then I saw the talent in Galleria Mall, and I thought, I'm gonna change my plans here. I was planning on doing a retreat and like not approaching for a month, actually, believe it or not, when I first came out. But when I actually saw the talent, I was like, wow, this is quite different. I'm gonna have to make an adjustment. But you came in and you were like making the adjustment immediately with me alongside you as well. So I'm interested to know how you were feeling that first day. You mentioned to me like it was a bit of a mind bender, just that this part of Europe is so different.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said it. Barcelona is a very receptive, very. I think you used the word amenable. It's a very happy city, and that's just the energy you feel on the streets interacting. There's a ton of tourists as well. In Belgrade you don't have that many tourists, and of course Barcelona's in Spain. You have tons of Spanish speaking women, so Spanish girls, but also Latinas. You have African girls. They just have this very receptive energy, and they will help you during all the interactions in the approach. They will give you smiles. I mean, the amount of girls that closed me in the first 2 or 3 minutes of me approaching them in Barcelona is immense. You can see it in my videos. There's girls like, oh yeah, fine. Do you have Instagram? All right, fine. Day to night, fine. And they will show up and they will reply or WhatsApp text and everything. And then I have a lot of experience traveling to Spain. I've been in Barcelona several times, in Valencia, Malaga, Italy as well. I love these cultures, but Serbia and so Belgrade was completely different. First of all, the way I imagined Belgrade was this dark city with men that are dangerous, and people will be very serious, and they won't smile, which is sometimes the case, by the way, if they don't know you. But I didn't know what to expect, so that first night when I arrived in the dark at midnight, couldn't find the front door of my apartment. I was like, okay, what is this place? Is this dangerous or not? I didn't know anything about the place. And then, of course, as you said it, the buildings look different. So we were walking together in the city center for the first day. I remember we walked about a whole marathon the first
Oh yeah,
Saturday in Belgrade,
like
like
40 kilometers.
40 kilometers. That's a lot. Um, so yeah, how did I feel? I felt a bit self-conscious the first days because I didn't quite know what to expect from social behavior from the Serbians. So I wasn't really sure if it was socially acceptable to just go out and approach girls. But after 4, 5, 6 days, I realized that, as usual, most of the stuff you imagine in your head is just you. It's just you needing to deal with yourself. Of course, it takes a couple of days to get used to a new culture and new city. Agreed, but yeah. So I think that's all normal for a city you don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Did you find it was different, say, going into Belgrade to a new city in Western Europe? Obviously, you might have traveled to Spain the first time. Maybe you weren't doing cold approach, but was there a different feel in the air, in the atmosphere? And was there anything different on that front? Because I definitely know for me there was a bit of a different feel, but it was quite warm, to be honest. Like that was my feeling. It was kind of it's Eastern, it's different, but it was also quite warm as well.
It is 100% different. Serbia was my first Balkan country. First time I really went to the east. I mean, I was in Budapest when I was 18, but I don't remember too much. I was too drunk all the time. But there's definitely a different feel. But on the other side, there is no better tool to break out of this, let's say, self-conscious feeling than daytime cold approach. I mean, I
Mm.
can imagine if you would travel alone to different cities and you do not practice cold approach, must be very stressful. And in fact, I remember that feeling from when I was traveling alone to Amsterdam, for example. I went to Amsterdam. I went to Seville in Spain as well, a couple of years back before I was consistently practicing daytime cold approach. And it just keeps you in this self conscious, slightly more anxious state. So as soon as you really start talking with people, men and women, doesn't need to be cold approach only, you free yourself of the bullshit.
That's such a good point. That's such a good point. Do you think that cold approach for somebody who has an international lifestyle, perhaps a digital nomad, maybe a programmer, software engineer, someone who works in advertising, who's doing the nomadic thing,
Yeah.
would you say it's perhaps the top leverage skill outside of obviously your professional skills?
Absolutely. I wouldn't even differentiate it too much from different skills. I mean, I think going on, and that's a question I wanted to ask you later on. But since you're talking about it now, is I don't see cold approach as a luxury product. I think it's a baseline requirement, and it should be in your basic skill set as a man. And if you're already a digital nomad, I think you said IT or advertising or something. I mean, damn, you should do this 100%. It will just increase everything in your life. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been a nomad now for 5 years. I've traveled and worked all over the world before, and previously I was always relying on clubs really, meet women and salsa and things like this, which was fine. It was good. It was an environment where I felt comfortable. But since actually becoming a nomad, especially when you're in places for like a couple of months, maybe it's not quite enough time often to get a recurring connection with people. But with cold approach, it can be so accelerated. Even in a place like Serbia, which is um, it's a different environment. It's certainly it's less typical to cold approach here than it is in other places. So the girls aren't expecting it. But even here, within 2-3 days, we both had options on the table for our personal life. We were in the first week, we were starting to make connections. I think it was like day 3 or 4. We met one of our friends out here who showed us around the city a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's it's so ingrained in me at the moment that I have to think back to 3 years ago when I was in Bucharest, Romania, or North Macedonia, or even Turkey, where I was living as a nomad for short periods of time, a month, 2 months, 6 weeks. And I'm outgoing anyway, and confident anyway, and socially experienced. But I couldn't get anything going for my personal life other than maybe just going to a club or going to a kizomba night. That was all I could really do, which was okay. But compared to now, it's like everywhere I go, I have 100% optionality on any given day because I know I can go out and generate options. It's just the question of just setting aside some time and just doing it. So it's yeah. Now it's so deeply ingrained in my way of life. I don't think about it anymore. And it's probably the same for you as well. Like you've been doing it a similar amount of time as me. You just do
Yeah,
it on autopilot. It's just what you do. You were in Egypt. You're meeting girls there, and obviously, as you say, you do meet guys as well. Like it's just a natural extension. Is this kind of social flow? You meet other people. You meet new wings and so on. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's a fundamental skill. I'd actually put it as my number one. If you're traveling, this actually should be your number one priority
yeah,
to be proficient, introducing yourself to new people in a romantic context
yeah,
and
yeah.
skilled in that way.
You said
Because
it right there. Yeah,
yeah,
there's different levels to this. So you can be a guy that doesn't travel at all, right? And then you can be a guy that maybe went on a trip with his girlfriend or with a group of friends, and then you can become the guy that solo travels, and you can be the guy that solo travels and doesn't talk to anybody, and then you'll be in your head all the time. But then I managed to get myself couple of years back to become the guy that did solo travel, and I did speak to people. You know, you start with the receptionist in the hotel and the staff in the restaurants and the supermarket and so on, and then the next step is like deliberately doing things like you said. You had your dance culture, the bachata and the salsa thing, but the ultimate thing that you really want to do is practice direct daytime cold approach. So not just going to girls and like, hey, do you know where the local Starbucks is? Yada yada yada, blah blah blah. We know the drill, but really stopping her with the direct intent of giving her a compliment and polarizing the interaction is very important, and that will change everything. Because I've spoken to a ton of guys like pharmacists, doctors, lawyers, and they're kind of doing something with cold approach and talking to girls, but they're trying the indirect opener, and it's just it will never ever give you the same results. It's simply not possible.
yeah, it's not really man to woman, and it's not really a full cold approach. I mean, kudos for at least starting a conversation. That's still good, but ultimately, you're just going to be frustrating yourself. So yeah, so the way that we do it is, um, to
Yeah,
be honest, when people see it, I think it's even when I see guys going in, I'm usually it sort of takes you back when you see your mates going in. Probably people think the same when they see me, but it's just like you're just having a normal conversation. All of a sudden, your friend's just in there like a missile on some girl, and then within a minute or two, there's like laughter, there's flirting, or there's a conversation, there's a connection, and you're just kind of like when you're an outsider watching it, it's very interesting it's very interesting, it's very cool to watch. But most guys that I see going in, they're not doing a lot, to be honest. And
yeah,
it's the reason is they haven't been taught what to do. They don't know what to do. And there's very few guys who are going to do this sober in the daytime. They're going to wait until they're in a club, they've had 4 drinks, then they might make a move, maybe.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but,
So you said a lot of things there, like first of all, how it's so normalized you don't even think about it anymore. Like these days, I most of my cold approaches in my city or in the gym because it's just the best spot to do it. I mean, years ago that would be terrifying, right? Like maybe you did a couple of approaches, but then what do you do in the supermarket? What do you do in the gym, right? It's what do you do if she walks inside the shop? She disappears. She gets swallowed by Zara, like that happens always. Do you follow her or not? All these things were very stressful ideas, and now I don't even think about it. Um, yeah, I'm going on a date tomorrow with a girl that I stopped at the bus stop next to a bunch of people. So yeah, and I can imagine for other guys, for bystanders, like looking at us, other men that saw us in set together in Belgrade, for example, it can be stressful experience. Um,
mm,
Probably, like I imagine the first infields I saw on YouTube, it was James Marshall from the Natural Lifestyles approaching girls in Budapest and then in Barcelona. And I just, to be honest, that stuff made me feel uncomfortable in the beginning because the gap between who I was at that time, like an anxious, insecure guy that wasn't meeting the women he really wanted, and then these guys getting results with these models, even approaching in New York. That was just shocking. But at the same time, I completely realized and understood this could be the ultimate life hack and
Hmm.
an absolute game changer.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you start out watching it virtually, and then you watch people in real life. Um, well, just before we get into, we'll talk a bit about bit more about the city, about Belgrade specifically and Serbia specifically, because I think you developed a lot here. But just before we do that, I'd like to just break down, so just get some insights from you about your style of approach, which I really enjoy winging with you because I feel like you have a very cool style of approaching. I quite like to watch it. I would say
Thank you.
like, me and Ephraim have a somewhat similar style. I would call it the Anglo-American style of it's we have the certain style. It's quite conversational, and it's also quite there's kind of flirty humor, and that's the kind of angle that we tend to go down a lot of the time. Sometimes with me, I quite like longer interactions, to be honest with you, just because I like it to be an instant date as much as I can, because I kind of feel like I just want to get the first date done. Do I actually even want to see this girl again? So I'd like to have that if possible on the first
Yeah,
interaction.
yeah,
Um, but your approach, I really enjoy watching because, and I've definitely learned something from it this summer. Is you have like this very piercing eye contact, and you're actually happy to leave. You're happy to have silences for like 10 seconds in an approach and just kind of stare at the girl. And then sometimes she might even walk away. But if she doesn't, then it's kind of like you've already, I don't know, almost eye fucked the girl already to death. And it's kind of like I've seen the reactions can be really good with that. So I'm just interested to you could break down to anyone on my channel what
yeah.
is your process in your approach? Because I think you've explained it to me. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, you asked me these questions that night and on the terrace next to the Starbucks, and I in the beginning I found it quite difficult to explain it because it just happens for me. What I do when I see a girl I like is first you recognize and you admit to yourself that you find her attractive, and then I completely focus on making her stop. So it's what I'm thinking just before I talk to her and before I really make eye contact is okay. Just make her stop. That's really the only thing that goes to my head. So I'm not thinking about, oh, will she like me? Will she not like me? I mean, I kind of enjoyed the excitement of just jumping in front of her, catching up with her, stopping her, and then like see what's gonna happen because you don't really know. And the way I like to explain it is that in the first, let's say, 5 to 10 seconds of you actually looking that woman in the eye and feeling each other out, I kind of observe my internal experience and try to feel out how much I like her and how attractive I really find her. And for me, it's like a speedometer, and in the first seconds, the needle jumps or the attraction needle drops. That's how I see it. So I'm really observing her and trying to figure out what it is exactly that I find so attractive about her. What is turning me on? Is it the way she's walking? Is it something physical? Is it her energy? Is it the way she's smiling? And also, how is she reacting to the fact that I'm stopping her, that I'm approaching her? How well is she? You know, how is she enjoying and playing the social dance with me?
Mhm. Yeah, I love that speedometer angle because it's absolutely true. Is you stop the girl, and we've said it, they're usually either more attractive or less attractive than you because you see them at a distance, they come past you, you haven't really seen them really close up, and they're usually either a notch or two above what you were expecting, or they're less. And so yeah, that speedometer tends to either if it's there, it tends to either go down or sometimes it revs up. And it's
Yeah.
interesting that I never thought of this, but when I reflect, there's definitely times where I'll get into a set and then the speedometer suddenly just goes woof, like right into the red zone. It's like, wow, this girl is incredible. Like she's even better than
Absolutely,
before.
absolutely.
And
It's quite rare as well that it goes like immediately, like
yeah,
in the first seconds. It can also be surprising when it happens like a bit later on. You know, it's something she says. Often it's something she says, or you kind of um, you find similar like connection points, and you feel a connection like building up, and that can increase the tension as well.
mm,
But and the opposite exists as well. You know, she looks so incredibly beautiful from a distance, and you stop her and immediately is like, nah, forget it, she's out, that's not my girl.
mhm. Yeah, it's definitely a gamble. You know, you get the more you get yourself in, the more you realize you do just have to put yourself in front of the girl. And this is one of the great things about having a wing. There's at least like probably 10 or 15 approaches I did with you this summer, probably Barca as well, which I'll approach on my own, but there's a certain level that I would just let some pass on my own because maybe it's an awkward approach because of the situation, the girl's about to cross the street, or um, and there's just I don't know, there's just something a little bit off, or I wasn't quite sure, and just having a wing alongside you, and your friend you just say to me, you just kind of go, come on. And I'm just like, well, yeah, obviously, it doesn't take a lot. With us, it really doesn't take much to get us going.
Yeah,
And it's for me actually, I find it very useful. I'm definitely someone who likes to operate in a team. I really enjoy that dynamic.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
gets a lot more
It's
out
way
of
more
me.
enjoyable, and it's more fun for yourself. But there's this interesting excitement you get from doing the approach when you know that your friends are looking at you. I mean, I have it here in Ghent as well when I'm with my friends, and they're like, "Oh, Balthus, that girl? Yeah, that's a Balthus girl." And then they start rubbing their hands and get all excited because I'm going in for the approach. And then when I'm, you know, almost about to stop the girl, I'm thinking, okay, the guys are looking at me. It's like it's really a group activity. It's a group sport, and it's very enjoyable. It's a very healthy thing as well.
Mhm.
Ultimately, it's something you should practice with your friends.
Yeah, I agree. We've got Paul University in here as well. The trio is reunited. Uh, yeah, I agree. It's definitely a team sport. It's definitely a team
Yeah.
sport. It's more fun. It's a leisurely activity. It's a great walk, great conversations, and then as a bonus to that, you just pick up numbers and you get in front of beautiful girls and uh, have some funny interactions as well.
Mm.
Just following on from this as well, I think this summer, I think we might be the first guys in the entourage, certainly maybe some of the first guys out there who've consistently been doing daytime approach 2 sets together, or street approach 2 sets, and even 3 sets with Ephraim as well, which is
Oh,
that's
yeah.
very much how things operate in bars and clubs and
Yeah.
often social dynamics. But in street approach, mostly guys almost exclusively are going in solo. We've been doing it in twos and threes, and I found it like extremely fun. And honestly, I've just found it so easy to have you alongside me in the set. We did. I remember the two Russian girls for some reason, and that was maybe one of our early ones as a 2 set. And it just we didn't end up meeting up with them, but it was just like a very strong set together. We were able to manage the set much more easily than I think either of us could have done alone. And then
Are you
from
talking about the doctor, the surgeon, and the lawyer we took to the hotel rooftop bar?
that, no, that was later on. That we were veterans by that point. I just remember the first one was I think it was two Russians, and I remember a procession coming down the street, and we were just like, "Oh, move over here." We moved them around the street quite easily. I think maybe because there was two of us, it was
Oh,
just like we were just getting used to doing it. And then yeah, as time went on, we went on multiple dates, on multiple double
yeah,
dates together. Just at the end of a session, just going home. That yeah, the surgeon, the doctor, these other young students, architects. I can't even
yeah,
remember. There
yeah.
was a point where it was almost every day. Realistically, it was practically every day. Or anytime
Definitely.
we went in to do a 2 set together, we ended up on a double date basically.
I think that was around week 2 of us doing cold approach together. I would say week 2 is about the sweet spot. So if you're serious about starting with cold approach, or just developing the skill of, if you want to become absolutely elite at this, I highly recommend guys to plan in these immersive periods of practicing cold approach. Basically, like what I did in Barcelona, 32 days of cold approach every day. Okay, that's a video title, by the way. Let me just do some advertising. But yeah, there is a time limit on doing this alone as well. And there is, regardless of if you're doing it alone or with two guys or in a group, um, at some point you will reach, let's call it social fatigue as well. You cannot just endlessly keep on, parading the pavements. There is a time limit. But from my personal experience, because I felt this in Barcelona and I felt it again in Belgrade, around week 2 you will suddenly just get like insane results. And that's when we just kept up lining up these instant dates, these instant double dates, of which we had at least 4. And then the reason we didn't have more was because, I don't know, we started doing other things basically. I mean, you had other plan. You did immersions, that's why. And then Ephraim came in, and we started doing other stuff. And then the girl I dated the most in Belgrade, that was also around week 2.
Mhm.
So that's about the sweet spot. And then you can keep pushing, which we all did, but then at some point it feels a bit, uh you know it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, it feels a bit forced. Yeah, I also feel with it's interesting because Barca, you were fatigued just from the output. Here as well, because it requires more volume. The girls don't tend to, and we'll start to come into discussing the city a little bit now. The girls don't give as much back on the approach to you. You
Yeah,
used a really good phrase. You said you used the girls who are very interactive. You know,
yeah,
Italian girls, African girls. There's it's like you're playing tennis and the ball's coming back at you. Might even come back faster at you. Whereas here, you hit the ball against the wall. Sometimes it will just drop. You have to go over, pick it up, and then go
yeah,
again. And so like the energy energetically that start can fatigue you a little bit as well. So yeah, it's been interesting because I've been out here now for 2 months, the whole summer. So the first month with you, and then some time with Ephraim, and then some time solo. And I just did my last session on Saturday, and one thing I liked was I'm very numb to doing things that previously solo I might have found difficult, like even as experience just going out solo, chasing the girl down the street, the hottest one down the street, stopping her on my own, getting
yeah,
into conversation, pushing it forward. Now I'm actually truly just quite numb to it, which I think is just the sheer volume that we've done out here. But yeah, there is an energy fatigue. I think actually all three of us found it, and I kind of made a recovery a little bit towards the end. Like this last couple of weeks, I kind of got my energy back again. But
mm,
there was definitely a couple of nights I went out with you guys, and I was like, I did a few approaches. I was like, I don't even want to. You know, just genuinely, I'd rather just walk and just keep myself to myself for the evening. And that social fatigue will hit you at some point. So yeah, just to go on to the city itself and the girls. Let's
yeah,
talk about the girls
yeah,
in
exactly.
Belgrade.
And you said something important there, is that the girls don't give you that much feedback. They're not as dynamic during the approaches as we experienced in other places. In fact, it was several times I was completely stunned by how just flat, completely nothing. You give the compliment and they stop, and they stand in front of you. It's like they freeze up. Uh, and I know you've experienced the same, Ephraim, as well. And I've seen it from Ephraim's students on the infields as well. Like the way they stop, they agree to have an interaction with you, but they will barely speak, and you have to do everything. You really need to lead them the entire way, or drag them to your castle, as you said it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I quite like it though. I remember seeing you on the first day being quite bewildered by some of the reactions because you're kind of like, um, especially coming in from Barca, let's say, it was just kind of, it was very straightforward, you know. So you're in this flow. It's almost like just the fact you've done an approach almost was enough in of itself, and then just from there you're just having a conversation. Whereas here it's like do the approach, really strong compliment, and then you look at the reaction, but you do have to keep moving things forwards, and then that probably is where a little bit of the conversational, um, moving the conversation forward a little bit, and just
Yeah.
realizing like the first 90 seconds you might have to lead it totally. You know, you might be talking for like 60 seconds out of the 90, or you know, and then and
Yeah.
then and then, and then as the interaction progresses, then you bring her in more. But it's always kind of you have to lead the whole thing here.
Yeah.
If
It's
you're passive at all, you're basically the girl's not going to ask for your number. She's not going. Nothing's going to happen. You have to lead every single step,
yeah,
all the way
absolutely.
from zero to wherever it ends up on the date or wherever you end up. Any passivity here, the girl just is. She's gone. She's completely gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a cultural difference. This is a social difference. It's a difference between the West and the East as well, 100%. And I mean, speaking for myself, we're maybe used a bit to kind of giving 60% and then hoping to get, waiting until you get 40% back, and then you kind of play this game together. It's not the same game in Belgrade. Definitely not. No.
Yeah,
A part of it is maybe us being conditioned to have a little bit of permission seeking behavior as well with the feminine. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, it was exciting, and it's definitely an excellent place to increase your skill set, to work on your stops, to get results. Because if you're able to get results there, then it's highly likely you'll get results in other places as well.
yeah, I agree. I agree. It still takes finesse though, because like local guys, it's not like local guys did any better. You know, in fact, they probably struggled even more because there's less of a culture of that street interaction here than there is even in Western Europe, places like Spain, and I've lived in Latin America. So, yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. I think the local. It's very interesting observing like the local dating scene and so on. I learned quite a lot over my time here from conversations I had. Often, basically, when I go to a girl and I'd actually find her not as attractive, usually I'll just stay in the set because I'd like to have a conversation. It to me it's a bit of a waste. Just if I go over and I thought she was like extremely hot and it turns out she's a bit more average.
Yeah.
So I'll just stay in the conversation because why not? You know, it's a good opportunity to speak to someone new. You can learn things about the city and so on. And I've had so many great insights from the girls through these conversations. I remember one woman saying to me, I said, "What's the dating scene like out here? Because I'm new. I'm just learning. I'm speaking to Serbian girls. They seem kind of they're attractive, but I'm still figuring them out." And the woman said to me, she said, "Serbian girls want a guy to come over and die in front of them before they'll even take an interest in it." So they've got a big ego, basically. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because, for what I can see, Serbian guys do not do that at all. It's certainly not in the daytime. Nighttime, it might be different. I think they send over drinks and things like that. But she just told me the girls really want you to really come over. And it's just interesting because that really wasn't happening very much at all. So we were fulfilling that to a certain degree, which I think was why we were getting results and why our students were getting results. We also had another conversation with a kind of two-sided with Ephraim, where one of the girls said we were again discussing the dating scene, and she said to us directly, "Serbia is a high context society." And I
Yeah.
was like, that is just the perfect description, you know, because we were starting to do bits and pieces in cafes, and actually I noticed it's a bit more nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. Even being experienced, it's kind of like you're conscious. No one is doing this in the cafes either. Probably the barista's looking at you. You go over, you do the approach, but I noticed a bit more like fiery reaction from the girl. It was like really lighting a flame, as opposed to the streets where it was kind of like it was a little bit more skeptical at times. Sometimes it was very good as well. But I just noticed in cafes, and I thought Well, it makes sense that this idea of context. When I'm in the street, I'm just a guy talking to you in the street. I'm a tourist in the street. When I'm in this really cool cafe that it's just down a little side street, and then I go over to you and your friends, and you can see I'm already with my friend. There's more context for you to see. This is definitely a cool guy. He's in the right place. He's with his friend. He looks cool as well. So I'm a little bit more vetted. Not I'm not like in their social group. I'm not a local and things like that. But I just found that such an interesting point, and that explains a lot here. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, definitely. What you said about they want you to die in front of them. They basically want to know sure that you're serious, which makes, in my opinion, complete sense, given fact that uh, I think you said divorce rate is a lot lower in Serbia, and I feel like people are a lot more serious about relationships and about getting together and about staying together than I'm used to here in Belgium. And I mean, all the girls I dated in Serbia, their parents were still together.
Mm,
Um, yeah, and it's, I have the feeling they're they're very serious about choosing who they're getting with and staying with, and that
mm,
if you really find a girl, um, which we felt on our dates as well, is they're really vetting you for a potential partner and a
mm,
boyfriend, and yeah, they see it as a long term thing. So in fact, it's a compliment if you manage to get a first date, but it
mm.
also means it's a lot harder to get a first date. It also explains why a lot of women don't even respond to your texts because, as you said, high context environment. If you're the foreigner that might disappear, then why the hell would she sleep with you? It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's definitely possible because it happened as well, but not in the same in the same extreme astronomically high numbers as in Barcelona.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would agree with all of that. It's definitely, I mean, it's definitely been a learning experience. I think for me, being out here this year, I often, this is why I'm almost like part of the reason I make a channel is because I go places as almost a kamikaze. I throw myself into some new country. Serbia is slightly obscure from a Brit point of view, place like Bosnia and so on, Macedonia, and I
Yeah,
go in and do all these approaches, and I basically get beaten up for a period of time where I'm trying, but I just don't know what works. So, and it takes a while it can take a long time to figure out what works. So actually,
yeah,
the people who watch this video actually similarly clients who come out to work with me, they get a very accelerated experience when they come to a territory that I know well because I've got 6 months of black eyes that you don't have to get. You don't have to get any. You can just come in and I'll tell you straight away,
yeah.
how to move forward really
That's yeah.
quickly.
That's exactly what you did with your last immersion, right? You said that you were able to like collect and use all this information you gathered from yourself, from me and Ephraim, just poured it right over the guy, and he was able to get massive results, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he actually got I think in the first 3 days he got really good results. I mean, just considering it's your first time ever in Eastern Europe, he got absolutely crazy results because it's just everything was set up was basically all of this stuff doesn't work. This, and this works. Do this, and he was very smart, so he was able to apply
Mm.
it very quickly. And also was a really good guy as well. So it didn't surprise me, but I think you know if I'd had a client out here early in September, we'd have done sessions that have got the reps in, but it would not have been as efficient. It wouldn't have been as swift, to get the same level of progress. Just
Yeah,
knowing everything, just knowing what to expect.
yeah.
So
I think that's also one of the reasons that we did so many reps in Belgrade because it's just a lot more difficult, and also the juice is definitely worth the squeeze. So you really just want to keep on trying and improving. And then we, of course, we had our weekly, daily discussions during the sessions, after the sessions, where we try to, you know, put our minds together and really improve. Like, okay, why didn't she respond? Why was the approach so good, but did she ghost me later, right? Or why am I not getting a second date? Why didn't she stop? Because the first 2 days, a lot of girls didn't even stop. So there's so many things, so many different angles, so many stuff you should know. And if you're trying to figure this out alone, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just not gonna work. It's gonna take
Yeah.
you it's gonna take you some time.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's just not. It's just literally not going to happen. You out here 6 months, and well, if you're very good, you probably will make some iterations. But yeah, it's because we were as you said, we were really putting our heads together.
Yeah,
Um,
and we saw self-taught guys, and this is just something I knew before, but it's only been shown to me again, is that most guys that are self-taught and are trying to do this alone, and even if you have a wing, like, good for you if you have somebody to share these experiences together with. But if you're self-taught, you're trying to do this alone with a group of guys, with your best friend, um, chances are very high you're probably doing a lot of things wrong, and that you're probably deluding yourself into thinking that somehow it will naturally work out, which, by the way, it won't. It is extremely rare. I know two Bulgarian guys, okay, who are self-taught. One lives in Ghent now with his girlfriend from Cold Approach, and the other one is the guy we met in Belgrade, and he's very
yes,
good. So I don't
yeah,
know what they're cooking in Bulgaria, but I think it's a place we should visit. But apart from that, I mean, we saw Russian guys, we saw Serbian guys doing it, we saw some guys from the UK as well. Um, in Belgrade, I mean, that were trying to do cold approach, but you could just see from their body language they were stiff, they
yeah,
were they were uncomfortable. It was they had this kind of predatory
yes,
vibe around them, and it just doesn't work. We know already that fun is the absolute key here, is the most important part of everything. If you're not
yeah,
having fun, it's not gonna work. And you could say that, about nightlife, for example. You can see that in clubs as well. The guys are like, either they're getting drunk, or they're like super tense and nervous, like staring at these girls. They're not even having fun. But the same thing goes for daytime cold approach. You should
yeah,
enjoy yourself.
yeah. It's a weird one because you have to get over that fear, and then you feel, and which makes you feel like there's that fear there, and it makes men feel like they're going into battle or something. But then on the other side of that, you have to then be completely relaxed and have fun. So it's actually quite a roller coaster of things that guys need to get over. Because normally, like, you feel that fear, the next thing you're doing is like you're fighting a tiger or something like this. Whereas actually with cold approach, you feel that fear for a period of time, and then on the other side of that, you have to have fun in the
Yeah,
interaction.
but
You
it
know.
is it is ultimately, it's interstate management. That's what cold approach is, and what it will teach you as well. And that's why cold approach isn't just about dating, but it's also about business and self improvement. And it will improve all areas of your life: your business, your family, your friendships, your love life. Probably it will probably increase your income, by the way. So yeah, it's interstate management, and you will have these fluctuations like, oh, I'm nervous, I feel good, I feel bad, I'm tired, I'm not tired, blah blah blah. It's always something. So you will become stronger at dealing with this, and yeah, which is a skill you should have. I think men lack this a lot.
We're not used to. This is what men are not used to, and this is why I actually do. I do feel a sense of pride that I'm part of a group of guys who have have seen this and have developed what I describe like emotional fortitude, emotional bravery. Most of the modern world does not actually require any emotional fortitude. So even this stuff like people going to their jobs and progressing up the corporate ladder and so on, it often doesn't require a lot of emotional fortitude. To be honest, you just do what you're told and you play the game and you move up. It's almost like you have to suppress yourself. Then, like going to the gym, everyone's talking about the gym and like looks maxing and body, whatever, getting their body in shape. That doesn't really require the same level of emotional um, kind of resilience, should we say, and emotional management. Maybe like in some really hard workouts, but that's just gritting your teeth and pushing through. This is a different kind of thing. It's this kind of emotional, just the ability to deal with fluctuating emotions, which actually you don't even feel that much in normal life. You know, if I'm not doing any approach at all, it's a lot more static. You know, like if it wants, a lot of it's just like boredom and so on, and then, but when you're actually out there approaching you with friends, there's ups
Yeah.
and downs. Especially, I think especially early on. Like I don't feel it as much now, to be honest with you, but especially that first 6 months of approach, I think you really do feel it.
Yeah,
Um,
you can see it with guys that are starting out with this. I mean, what happened to Mina, the Egyptian guy who just did an immersion here? I mean, his life has changed 100% already. He's just completely excited, going on dates all the time. I remember this feeling in Barcelona as well some years back. And yeah, it dims a little bit when you become more experienced, but it doesn't disappear. I think it's good to take a break once in a while. um, but yeah, the kick is really from doing it together
yeah.
mainly. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And then yeah, like we've had experiences. I mean, I'm 39 years old, you know, and I'm generating these experiences that are just they're absurd, you know, for someone like you know, for what you would think someone might be doing. I mean, I don't see 39 as a big deal, but for society or whatever, they think after you're 25, your life is going to just be boring or whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
generating all sorts of experiences and having
Yeah.
all sorts of and now it's not just for me as well, it's with other people and for students as well. But it's all so much more open, you know, than people realize.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a very interesting point you're making about age, and I think a lot of men who will be watching this will have a lot of fears and doubts, uh, about their age. Like, am I too old? Can I still date younger women? And this is the great thing about cold approach. It forces you to enter the real world. You will deal with the real world. And um, I was just, I don't know who said it, but somebody told me recently, like, as a man, you can basically just do cold approach till you're like 70 years old, literally. And that's not even a joke. It's true. I used to have fears like, oh no, I'm 27. I don't. I don't have a girlfriend, and you go to these family gatherings, parties, and people ask you like, "Oh, where's your girlfriend?" And you start thinking, okay, I should start, getting a family. I should have serious girlfriends, and so on and so on. And I can't date younger girls. I can't date 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds. It's not possible. But it definitely, most certainly is. I mean, how many girls, how many 21-year-olds fell in love with you on the streets of Belgrade? I mean, I was
Honestly,
I was blown away with it. Like, damn, what's going on here?
my main market out here, I'm not even joking. The group that responds by far the best to me, by hands down the best, is 18 to 22. That is by far my market out here. I've got no one. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I go around in a tracksuit half the time. I've got no idea. I do think clothing does play. It does play into it. I don't go around in like if I was going around in a suit or something, I don't know. Would that work as well? I don't know, but it's just very interesting to. There's a rawness to those interactions as well. A lot of younger girls like they do
Yeah.
basically like older guys. To be honest, you know the only age objections I get are like from the 25-year-old or 28-year-old or something, and I'm kind of like, you're a bit old yourself, you know. Like that's the only. I've got a few this summer. It's the first time I've ever got them at 39, but it actually was never from that 18 to 22 bracket. It was always from the more mid to late 20s, which was kind of interesting as well. But at the end of the day, they're entitled to have their wants and desires and so on. Um, it doesn't really bother me at all. You know, you
Mm.
just get up, you just go the next day. Um, what we were talking about the girls themselves out here. What did you think of just the overall quality in terms of looks, personality, presentation, experience, and so on. And just a full picture of what you think on it.
Well, I probably said this in Belgrade, but I was kind of expecting to experience a culture shock coming back into my own city, and to be honest, that's exactly what happened. The girls in Serbia or in Belgrade, they take such good care of themselves. The style is terrific. I don't think I've seen women uh with such feminine energy, such class, style, and grace, walking on the streets together, like with clothes that if you would see them here in my country, they'd probably be going to like a marriage or something, or some very high end party. But if you stop them, what they will say is, "Oh, we're just going out for coffee at 11 in the night." So that's just mind blowing. I've never seen girls that take such good care of themselves in terms of style and the way they dress, apart from maybe in Italy, because of course, yeah, Italian girls are amazing. But it seems to be it doesn't seem to be, it is the standard there. You don't go out, and even the first days when we went out to Galleria Mall with these wife beaters or tank tops, it's just it felt a bit unusual, and probably explains as well why some girls maybe didn't stop, because we look like gringos or tourists. But they're
Yeah,
just incredible women. Yeah, I can't say anything bad about them at all.
yeah, I was similar. The look out here is extreme glamour. That's really it. And the number of the yeah, it's actually unbelievable how well dressed the girls are on a day-to-day basis. To the point, obviously, we get used to it. This is what happens when you stay in a place for too long. There's times when I go out and I'm just going to work in a coffee shop or I'm going to the gym and I'll see a girl going past in like this tight red dress and it's
Yeah,
like 2 p.m. But it's not just any dress. It's like, the dress from The Mask with the Carey film where she comes in, she's blonde, this big tits, everything's looking amazing. It's dresses like that, and I'm just walking around, and I actually get almost annoyed, believe it or not, because I'm like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to go to work. Like, do I need to literally put on like blinders so I don't see any people? So, but it's an emotion I've only experienced probably in one other place, but
Yeah,
it's a very good sign that you are absolutely like you're just overwhelmed with extremely well turned out women,
absolutely.
and they've also got very athletic bodies as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I've not seen white girls with bodies like this athletic ever. To be honest, they're not the most. They've got some curves, but they're not the most curvaceous. But the athleticism is fucking incredible. To be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. I remember that day we went to the Kalamegdan castle to do some film photography. I do take some analog pictures sometimes. um, so I'm walking from my apartment to meet you guys in the city center, and I'm like, I'll be late. Just I was a bit in a rush, because we were losing the sunlight as well for the pictures. And yeah, it's just impossible to walk from your apartment to the city center without doing an approach. So I try to stop this girl, and she gives me a smile, like, "Oh, really? You're the second guy that approaches me." And yeah, I'm actually on the way to my boyfriend's birthday party, and so I'm just laughing it off. Continue my walk to the city center. I see Ephraim in set. I wait till he's done, and then I tell him the story about the girl who's going to her boyfriend's birthday party, and we just have a laugh together, because he just says like, "Oh, really? I was the guy who approached her the first time, and
Yeah.
then I met you, and then and so on and so on." And so there is just it's just a show basically of like one hot girl after the other.
Yeah.
It's you can't not approach in
Yeah.
Belgrade, basically. Yeah.
I would say it's the highest concentration of genuine eights that I've seen. Like where it's like eight is almost the norm. Like, and I class eight as a really very hot girl. Like a seven is decently hot, but like if I'm putting it on a scale where it's like there's a lot of really decently hot girls, like what a long way above international average, like way above international average. Um,
Yeah, it's their self-respect and the fact that they're embracing their femininity so much that makes them a lot more attractive as well.
mhm,
There's just, I mean, there's girls in other places in other countries that are, if you would strip all the clothes off, they look they look nice, but then because their hair is messy,
mhm,
their clothes don't fit, or it seems like they don't care. It just makes them slightly less appealing.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, no, it's so good to see all the girls. Just the dress sense is just like it's incredible to see. To be honest with you, um, yeah, especially in summer. I think that it was like probably a bit too hot overall in the summer, but it's 37 on a few days. But that's made up for by the fact all the girls are in these amazing dresses. So um, yeah, it's just amazing to see that. In terms of personality, could you imagine yourself, say, seriously dating a Serbian girl long term? What do you think about
Yeah, absolutely. The answer is yes. Yeah,
that?
I
Yeah.
could.
Do you think there would be a? I'm just interested. Do you think there would be like a cultural gap there that would need to be filled, or do you feel actually you've already bridged that gap already?
Well, as in all relationships, the breaking point would probably be like, okay, are we gonna get married or not? Like, are we gonna have kids, move in together, or are you gonna stay in Belgrade or in Serbia with me forever? Yes, no. I think it would probably escalate quite fast to that point, which makes complete sense. So I guess it depends on that, yeah. But is it possible to find a high quality wife in that city? Yeah, 100%, 100%. It
Yeah,
will
no,
it will require more work, but maybe that's a good thing.
yeah, I think it makes you appreciate it more as well. When you do have the good experiences, you really feel like you've earned it. It's like you have actually put yourself through a lot of approaches. You've had to lead tons of approaches. Because I've watched you put on like a total seduction show with a
Yeah,
girl. I always remember the one
the
outside
cathedral.
Saint Sava, because I watched the whole interaction. I was like, they really looked like they were about to kiss. It was that good an interaction. Maybe it was even a bit too seductive, where she came away from it and she was like, "What the hell just happened?" Like half an hour later or 20 minutes later.
Well, I
And
think
I
I
think
think
it's,
it has to do with what you said about Belgrade being a high context environment. I mean, the I tried to push for an instant date, but it was impossible because she was meeting out with her sister, and then the next day she was also hanging out with her sister, and then she had to work and blah blah blah. It's always something. So you know, if she has a chance to discuss me approaching her with a friend or a family member, chances are high, she might she might be thinking like, oh, this is not really a long term thing. Maybe something like that. Yeah, it's just life gets in the way as well.
they've
Practical
also got
reality.
they've got local options as well of guys in their social circles and things like that. So it's to as you said before, if you're actually getting on dates with these girls, that's actually a good achievement because they are breaking a long way out of their own comfort zone to come and meet you. So it's actually a really good achievement. Yeah, and it was the same with Ephraim as well. I always remember one that I saw him in, and I thought that was just a very, very good set. Everything was perfect. A long set as well. I remember watching him. It was maybe I videoed him in it, but it was just a really long set. And then he said nothing came of it. And in Western Europe, like these are guaranteed. These are guaranteed to be probably meeting up with you the same day.
Yeah,
So yeah, it does make you feel like you've actually earned something. And yeah, the girls themselves I found to be quite thoughtful as well. I've had a lot of good conversations with the girls, above average, and not brainwashed by bullshit either, by woke bullshit. They're just genuinely thoughtful, cool
yeah,
girls.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, I could definitely see myself potentially with maybe even one or two of the girls that I've met here this summer. It's something I could potentially see. But for me, I don't know if I could I've started to sober up a bit towards the end of the summer, and I'm kind of thinking, I think I need a bit more of that liveliness, that interactivity. I think you use the word interactive,
Yeah.
and I think I actually enjoy that as well. So I think probably there's other parts of the world where I will probably end up with a girl from, she'll probably be African or Latina. That's probably similar to you. That I enjoy those types of girls more. But who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. It's I think cold approach rules out a lot of the, let's call it, the bad ones. So if you manage to get a first date, you'll have a pretty good feel of where it could potentially go to. And then if you get past day 2 or day 3, then you know chances are high you probably really like each other as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's harder to get a date, but the potential of your chance of getting like a really really good date is there as well. It's just a bit more difficult. And yeah, I've I had a lot of first dates. I had some second dates, but the girl that I saw the most, I ended up seeing her like 3 times, and then my Namibian princess flew over, and I spent the time with her, and that felt really amazing. That was from the cold, icy Balkan energy straight to the warm, loving African energy. Is something different. So I completely understand what you just said.
Yeah, for me, watching you with her, because obviously we hung out and stuff, it's kind of like I'm seeing you more in your natural environment in a way, more relaxed in a way. So, um, yeah, it's definitely a factor. It's just very. Sometimes they say funny things as well. Serbian girls, like in dates and things, they just say something weird that's just not very. It's just they just say strange things. So, but it's maybe it's just their culture. They're maybe more direct, or they think in a different way. So yeah, it's definitely a good experience. The last thing I'll say as well, if anyone watches this and they are attracted to the idea of meeting Slavic girls, Eastern girls, and so on, there's a few basic rules I would say. Well, first, I already mentioned one earlier, which is you have to carry the whole set in Serbia. You got to push from the get go, no passivity at all. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be some master seducer, but you have to just move things forward. Like if the girl's starting to get away from you, no, keep her there, keep in the conversation. If the girl's like hesitant on plans, no, you get her to the next stage. You either take on the instant date or you set up something. You got to push the whole thing. And this also goes with texts, and it also goes after the date, and it also goes if you sleep with a girl after the girl. Don't be, and this is where Eastern and Western dating is completely different. Completely
Mm.
different. Don't be the guy, I'm playing it cool, the bitches can come to me, I'm the prize and stuff like that. That will fail. That will fail because that will be interpreted as he's either he either doesn't he's not really into me basically. That's basically how it'll be interpreted. He's either just not he's not like really a man, or he's just not into me, and it's mostly going to be the latter. I've made this mistake out here. Ephraim's made the mistake. I don't know if you have or not, where you realize everything was seemed to be good, and you realize I realized like months later, I'm like, well, it's no wonder this girl. It's no wonder I lost this girl. I didn't message her for like 4 days because I thought I was being cool and calm. Yeah, not effective out here at all. They need to know you want them, and they need to know you want to see them again. Especially as Ephraim found out, like he slept with a girl, and well, probably discussing his personal life here, but I think it's a good illustration. She was annoyed that he didn't text her like in days going for a few days afterwards, which
Yeah, but
what
that, it's also because he was cold approaching nonstop, and because he was meeting other girls. So I think we need to manage expectations here, and say a little something about what about realistic results in daytime cold approach, because it also depends on what you want. I mean, I think what I want is slightly different than what you want, and what Ephraim wants, and when we were approaching in Barcelona with the other guys from the entourage, they also wanted something different. You
yeah.
know, um, for me personally, for example, I'm extremely picky. I will rule out girls very fast and I'd rather go on approaching with you guys and do cold approach as a sport than line up massive amount of dates. But I know
Mm,
there's guys watching this that do want to line up a massive amount of dates, and they just want to get more experience. I
mm,
don't really need to learn how to date. I only want to date when I really want to date a girl I
yeah,
really, really like. And of all the hundreds and hundreds of approaches I did in Belgrade, I think there were like 4 or 5 interactions that to me personally felt really magical. And then only, 4 of them replied, and then 3 of them were available. And then by the time I had a date set up with a girl I really wanted to meet, I was already spending my time with the Namibian girl. So it just didn't happen. But yeah, once you start collecting a massive amount of numbers, it becomes almost impossible. Like realistically, it becomes almost impossible to do a proper, tailored, and personal follow up over text. I mean, there's ways to do this. Um, like I like to archive all my WhatsApp messages of all the girls' numbers I collected. I archive all of them, so I have one overview. You could even tag them with colors if you have business WhatsApp or something like that. I know there's guys that put it in Excel sheets. I know there's guys that take voice notes after every approach to like tell a little story about your approach so you can listen to it later on when you're at home, uh, and so on and so on. But once you start getting a lot of numbers, yeah, to be honest, I mean, yeah, sometimes I even forget their names. So,
yeah. We
and
talk
that's
about
normal.
Yeah, we talk about flake rate, but what we don't talk about is we flake on a lot of the girls as well. I
Absolutely.
would say probably 70% of the girls I get their number, I don't even contact them, just because afterwards I just think, yeah, really now this is it's not a flex, it's just the truth. When I'm going out in Belgrade, I don't even want the eights. There's a certain type because I like girls with more of a fine facial structure, which is actually not that common here. They've got more of a kind of angular, quite strong skeletal structure, and I think they've got the great bodies and stuff like that. But I'm looking for these really basically almost model level girls, or maybe some of the very curvaceous ones as well. Which actually those two profiles, they're not that common here. And but when I'm going out, that's really all I care about. I'm not even interested, even an eight, to be honest. It's really like nines, and if, obviously you find a 10, it's like fucking unbelievable. But
Yeah.
that's really the kind of I would describe a nine as someone who's like traditionally you'd be surprised if they weren't a catwalk model. That's my version of a nine, and a 10 is like it's like a vision, like a vision. You just like what the hell was that? Like everything is completely perfect. Um, and yeah, we flake a lot of the girls as well, and just to set the expectations as well
Yeah.
out here. I think
Yeah.
it, it's not a place to come if you want to rack up a lot of sexual experience in a short amount of time. This is not the place to do it.
Exactly.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I think once you start getting serious results in dating, love, women, relationships, and cold approach, you start to understand how really, really, really beautiful women work and think, how their life looks like in terms of their dating abundance.
mm,
Because you kind of, you give yourself a similar experience. I mean, if you collect like 100 WhatsApps over a couple of weeks and you're trying to text all of them, as you just said, you will flake on girls, and that explains why some girls flake on you. It's the
yeah.
same thing. I mean, they have orbiters. They're never really 100% single. They're constantly getting attention on Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever, TikTok. So that explains why even girls that really like you, or even girls that you went on a date with or you slept with, will
Mhm.
still ghost you. uh, I mean, I did the same to girls I liked and I slept with, and
Yeah.
then I still ended up like ghosting them or only answering after 2, 3, or 4 days.
Yeah.
um, and you might get away with that with some girls, but as you said, in Belgrade, they're very unforgiving with it, because they basically know, well, or chances are very high that if you just ignore her for a while, you're not her priority, and maybe you're sleeping with other girls and that's not what they want. So
Mhm.
bye bye.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I would say. I'd say it's a good place to come. If you're coming like to train with guys like us, then it's a great place to come because there's a lot of volume. So you can get good quickly. Honestly, within about 3 to 5 approaches, 3 to 6 approaches, I can get people some major adjustments made. It
Yeah,
does depend on how good they are when they come in. There is, I won't go into all the factors here, but it's not just you can just show up in any which way. Everything has got to be, especially here, everything's got to be premium. The guy's got to look good. The clothes have got to be good. The approach has got to be absolutely on point, energy wise, and also technically as well. But if everything is on point, you will be getting in front of a lot of beauty very rapidly in a very high concentration. So I'd say it's a good place to come and do an immersion. But I would, if you're a beginner, I would not, I definitely wouldn't come here if you were a beginner because you'll just get battered. You'll get absolutely battered. You'll
yeah,
get very few freebies. Maybe you'll get into some 1 or 2 conversations, maybe just around, I don't know, Republic Square or something. You might have a few encouraging conversations, but for the most part, you'll get battered. I would say for someone who is interested in this part of the world, I would recommend come out for probably honestly a couple of months if you're a nomad. Come out for a couple of months. Set yourself up socially as much as possible. Get yourself into some social scenes. I didn't do as much of that because I was hanging out with you boys, but when I was here before, I was getting into the dance scene here. There was a club night I was going to as well, and or whatever it is. There's infinite ways. I would attack it in different ways if and when I come back again, as well as doing some daytime approach as well. And that is probably going to give you the dates and so on. But yeah, you definitely have to expect this is not going to be. You're not going to get any free rides out here. It's like if you're good, you can do something, and you might just meet an insane level 10 who's really smart and who's just got an amazing personality. You can actually find that here, which I think is pretty
yeah,
cool.
absolutely, 100%.
Nice, nice. So, well, we'll start to wind down. I think we've covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. We've talked about your experience here, um, your experience. How did you find the difference? Obviously, because you did some coaching. Well, I don't know if it was your first coaching, but you were coaching here.
Yeah,
Um, how did you find it? Just before we finish, how did you find it seeing so many other guys in set? You've seen myself, you've seen Ephraim, you've seen the students, you've
yeah,
seen guys, varying guys in the street. Only one of which I think is actually good. That are
yeah.
Bulgarian friends, and we've seen a lot of not very good people. How did you find just seeing everybody? Over the summer months.
That's an interesting question because I remember having this thought when we all met up in Barcelona, and I thought I've never seen another guy approach a woman, like never in my life. I've only experienced my own goal approaches real life on the street. I mean, of course, I saw some infields videos on YouTube, but just let me think. I think maybe you or Ephraim, you guys were the first ones I actually saw approaching women, and that was a very liberating experience. And then, of course, doing it together for the first time. But yeah, and then in Belgrade, there's so many guys doing it. Um, with the Bulgarian guy, who's just a pleasure to spend time with. He's excellent at cold approach as well. So it's very good. Yeah, it was just a very good experience. There were other guys that was just terrible as well. So that's maybe a bit annoying, but to be honest, it doesn't make that much of a difference for your own experience on the streets. No.
Yeah. Yeah, we did find, I'd say there was a period about 3 weeks ago where it was actually getting a little bit saturated because it's only one street. It was starting to get a little bit saturated. There was about 8 or 9 guys out, and
Oh really?
there was another guy who came in who was actually good. To be fair, he looked excellent. He was actually good. He was actually good. I think he's still here, an American guy. Um, But then, yeah, it's kind of varied. It's kind of a mixed bag. But No, I always enjoy seeing what other guys are doing, and I always enjoy seeing guys do well. Actually, you know,
Yeah,
because it definitely takes a certain type of mindset, and yeah, seeing students come in as well. Obviously, my own students, but seeing you doing some coaching out here as well. I don't know if he's on at the moment. SB, he wasn't on earlier on.
he
It was
was.
great.
Yeah,
It was great seeing him actually just getting coached by you. Well, I didn't actually see it, but like just knowing, you know, because I
yeah.
think the
The
guy's
guy,
got potential.
I felt, I mean, I felt he really wanted to do it. It's just a shame he had to go back to Bosnia because I actually wanted to do more. So we only spent 3 days together, but yeah, he had excellent results as well. And I told him like I'm expecting you to do good, not in like this annoying way, but I mean, I was hoping that he would do good, but I was kind of expecting he would be good at this.
Yeah,
Good at it. He's a socially calibrated guy. I mean that Russian girl, he was already seducing her. That was his second approach.
yeah.
So it was just a really good experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also often it can be a catalyst for guys to go on, and then it's like, okay, I've just slayed that dragon. Now let's go and do something else. I think it was for him a little bit of a catalyst for him to go and um, explore some other stuff this summer as well. I found a lot of students that I've worked with, they decide to move from a smaller town. As soon as basically they come to a big city, they go, yeah, I'm moving. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
separate. Well, I mean yourself as well. To be fair, you
Absolutely. Yeah, it
accept plan
completely
promotion.
it completely destroys this myth that like, oh, moving abroad won't solve your problems. Yes, it will. In many cases it'll probably solve literally all of your problems. So yeah, because this just reminds me of what friends were telling me a couple of years back, like, yeah, but if you move to Barcelona, then you'll still have the same issues in Barcelona because you're still the same guy, blah blah blah. But they basically want to kind of keep you where you are, hold you back. That's what it is. So definitely the yeah, a very important point for guys watching this is travel and cold approach go hand in hand, really.
Yeah, location, man. Location is massive. There's a reason I decided to do my immersions this summer in Belgrade, and I did my spring immersions in Manchester. There's reasons for that. I'm not just picking. I would not do an immersion in my home city of Sheffield. I probably wouldn't do an immersion in Skopje, North Macedonia, although I actually like the city. Probably could pull it
Yeah,
off, but it's going to be much harder. There's a reason, why I select the locations I do select, and it's very important. It's very important. You can't. It's just you just mentioned it there. Like this is something I found from such a young age. I remember going to Seville when I was 15. Seville, southern Spain. I'm from Sheffield. And when I went to Seville, southern Spain, I was like, wow, I feel way better in this city than I've ever
yeah, yeah,
felt
yeah,
in my own city in my entire 15 years of existence. Why is that? I've been
yeah.
here for 3 days.
Absolutely.
The vibes
that,
of
that
a city, the energy, the culture, that can actually solve like the majority of your problems. Basically, it really can. So yeah, that bullshit of you're the same person. No, not really, to be honest, because you're interacting with the culture. You might fit in more with this different culture, this different place. They might see things in the way that you see things. A lot of people have that when they travel, and then you add into that relationship dynamics, cold approach. So yeah, I think location is so important. That's why through winter, I'm going to be running my immersions in a city of like a city which is really excellent for it as well. It's very like carefully selected, to be honest with you.
mm,
And I wouldn't bother running them in a place that I didn't think guys were going to get something very positive from it.
yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, yeah. What you just said, like how good you were feeling when you were 15 years old in Seville, I definitely relate to it. I completely resonate with that. This trip to the Balkans also showed me huge differences between the East and the West, um, and how different cultures make you feel. it's the climate, right? I mean, it's the weather, of course. In places like Seville, there's more sunshine. Uh, People living in the UK, in the Netherlands, or Belgium, a big part of the year it's just dark. You stay inside. It's not really amenable for cold approach. It's just these things make a massive difference. So it's something you should definitely include in your long-term vision and your plans in life. Like, okay, where do I actually want to live, and what can I do to improve my lifestyle just based on location alone and culture alone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all the other parts of the puzzle. Your location, your social circle, your social life. You know, those are two
Yes.
massive parts of the puzzle.
The
And
size of the city. Yeah.
your approach is just the third part, and then you don't need to do what we're doing, going out and doing loads of volume. You really just need to get good enough to get some dates and to get a girlfriend. That's really what
Yeah.
most guys want to be doing. We're obviously coaching, so it's different. It's almost like research. A lot of what we're doing, to be honest with you, that's how I feel anyway. Um, so location super important, social life, and then once you're up and running with your approach, once you're good enough, that's it. You don't actually need to. You don't need to kind of
Absolutely.
test it in a
Absolutely.
million directions. You know, like an experiment, like we're doing. It
I,
is.
I I can appreciate that not everybody's looking to be a digital nomad and become elite at daytime cold approach and like get plenty of girlfriends around the world. Maybe you just want one girlfriend. That's just fine. Maybe you want a wife. I had a conversation with somebody, a pharmacist, and he said, "Okay, I would like to find a Muslim wife." So he's spending time in Bosnia, for example.
Yeah.
That just makes complete sense. So
Yeah.
you can do that, and it will be necessary as well. By the way, I mean, if you're like 30, 35, 40, 45, you're living in a relatively small city. You don't really like the women, you're kind of thinking of maybe starting with cold approach, dude, it's just never gonna happen. Forget it.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
And I also, yeah, we'll finish on this, but I can't think of a better way to meet your future wife or serious girlfriend or mother of your children. And that's what I actually think about the most, to be honest. And that's why I'm also, as well as the daytime approach, I also think more now about structuring your social life to be in a place where you're meeting the top tier girls that you want, as well as just in the streets, but also using those skills in your general social life as well. I just can't think of a better way. And it's a story you will always be able to tell for the rest of your life. You know, that you have children with this woman. Dad, how'd you meet mom?
Mm.
And then mom, she gets there like, oh, she blushes and she's like, well, you know, your dad saw me. And then he just came over. And then you say, yeah, your mom was so hot. I just had
Yeah.
to talk to her. You
Yeah.
know, what an amazing story for the rest of your life. And it doesn't matter that we've done maybe hundreds of approaches, or some we've done thousands, but some guys they do a few hundred approaches to get that moment. Let's say it's a religious guy, it doesn't matter, or maybe 50 or whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is they get that moment, and then that's their story then, for going forward forever.
Yeah.
And they've been on that journey, but like they've shown up and they're the prince. They've swept their princess off her
Yeah,
feet.
exactly. Don't underestimate the power of these kind of stories. Don't underestimate the symbolic, profound meaning of starting off your dating story with your girlfriend or your potential wife, the potential mother of your children, in this very way. It actually means a lot to the woman as well. It's a massive like enhancer and a boost to start dating a woman. It's completely different. The quality is better, but the whole energy, the whole dynamic is better, than what you would get out of a Tinder date, for example.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the dynamic. I actually think that's the biggest thing. Is the dynamic that it establishes. The magic from the start. Normally, with a girl you'll see long term, you'll feel magic very instantly, basically, like immediately,
Yeah.
and then you've led the situation, and then she gets to come along, or maybe she joins in as well. But you fundamentally led the situation. I remember the Namibian princess. I asked her about how you guys met.
Yeah.
She told me about a 20-minute story. It was so I was just like really interesting to hear it from the girl's point of view. she's got this whole context of, well, so today, on that day, I was going to go and do a photo shoot, and I'd never done a photo shoot before, and blah, 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 blah. And I felt really good because I was wearing this dress. Blah, blah. There's this whole story. And I've had the same experience with girls where they say, there's a girl I've been seeing who she actually went on I think she went on a date with a guy earlier that day, and then she didn't like him, and then she went to meet her friend. And I met her when she was meeting her friend. And it was like, so she's got this whole backstory, and her friends saw me and stuff like that, and they're like, oh yeah, he just completely blanked me. He was just completely focused on you, you know. So there's all these stories that the girls run with. It's a nice thing for them.
Yeah,
So yeah,
true.
even if you're going down this wife game, you're going down because I'm quite romantic, to be honest. This is why I like daytime approach. It's why I like dance and stuff like this as ways of meeting women. I just like it. It's just more romantic. It's more sensual. It's more fun, you know, than just getting drunk and crashing into someone at a bar.
Absolutely.
This art form gives us that, and it gives that for the girl as well.
Yeah, yeah, true. I can
Right,
only
Balthus?
agree. Yeah, I think we've said a lot here. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. I think, yeah, I said before, like, I think I've seen more of your approaches probably than anyone else. And so, yeah, I've definitely learned from your actual hypnotic eye contact. We got wind from, I think it was like one of George's, one of our mates' girls, said, "Oh yeah, I met this Belgian guy. He really had like really good eye contact or something like that." So your reputation is still going on here in Belgrade.
Oh, really? Some girl told you that?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
We laughed about it. Yeah, it was just really funny.
oh, interesting.
So
maybe
yeah,
maybe we should say something so about what the our future and our plans going on. Like obviously it's almost like winter in Europe. You're going to the DR. I mean, in March we were in Barcelona. I was in London a little bit then, and then um, in June we were in Belgrade. Now you're going to the DR. What can people expect for 2026? Because we have some plans.
yeah. So for me for the winter, I'm basically escaping Europe. So I'll be over in Santo Domingo mainly for the next probably 4 or 5 months. That's the plan, and that's just yeah. You'll see it in the videos. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about that place. The videos, I assure you, will speak for themselves. And yeah, 2026. I think the next meetup for us is probably going to be Miami. I think that's what we're
Yes,
looking at. We're both
exactly.
keen. I want to get myself over there. Maybe get down to what is it? There's like this old Havana town in Miami or something, some Cuban area. Get myself down there. And I think we're both pretty excited about that. I think yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
for both of
So
us, like getting some more infields in some exciting locations. I think people don't realize infields are not actually very easy to do because it's not like doing talking head stuff is easy, right? You know, but we want to do infields because like we
yeah,
know how much we're actually doing in the streets, but it's not actually that easy to do because you have to have a hidden cameraman. It's hard enough just to get a cameraman to begin with. Then you've got to have a hidden cameraman who
yeah,
understands cold approach. You get mic'd up and all of this stuff. So we've done some this summer. We've done what we could do this summer, but I think that's going to be focus for us. Like going on this year is once we can get the right setup, is just doing more infields.
absolutely, yeah. So the guys following us, you can expect to see our next infields, or the next like highest quality infields will probably be in Miami. We don't really know when exactly. It will be in spring, so let's say by the end of March, beginning of April, will be the Bratva will be joined together once again in Miami. I will be in Barcelona a little bit in October, and then probably in February I will be in Krakow for the first time, and then Miami. So yeah, looking forward to more videos like these and more infields, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely right. Balthus, Daygame, been a pleasure, my friend, my Belgian wing bro, and yeah, fantastic to have you on, mate. It's always good to catch up, and hopefully that's valuable for people checking it out as well.
Absolutely.
Your transformation, I think, is just incredible, and also even seeing your development this summer, you definitely developed. Your accelerated development within the first 2 weeks was really impressive. You can see it documented on my channel as well. Everything of your approach is so much sharper now. There was no because I think because you're a tall blonde guy going up to these Latinas in Barcelona, it's kind of like game over when it pretty much starts. But out here, no one cares,
Yeah,
So it's kind of like, what have you got? And you definitely like stepped up and just you sharpened everything up. I saw the development literally happening in front of my eyes, so it's really cool to see. And yeah, that's just credit to
definitely.
your
It's
ability to
it's
learn.
it's also thanks to spending time with you and spending time with Ephraim, because of course we're having fun and we're shooting infields and going on dates and talking to girls. But to be honest, this is like a group coaching session as well for us. So I mean, for me, spending time with you, will enhance my call approach skills and vice versa, and same for Ephraim and Pole University, Wingbro, Balthus Daygame all together. It's extremely valuable for ourselves. So I just hope we can help and improve as many guys out there. That's the point. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean that's it. That's what guys probably don't even realize is like if you were just getting Balthus's insights on his own, or you were just getting mine on my own, honestly, it's a lot. Like it is honestly a lot. Like when people actually encounter it, there's a lot of experience there.
Mm.
But what you're actually getting is not only that, you're getting us three having pulled so much detailed notes of like
Absolutely.
hyper aggressive approaches over weeks and weeks and weeks. Plus, on top of that, you're getting what we have access to in the entourage, which
Yeah.
is a group of 10 guys who are caning it every single weekend and coming back with small iterations here and there. And periodically, there are like big breakthroughs that happen where
Yeah.
we're taking the daytime approach into new territory. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
When
It's
I see
it's
other people, even quite good people,
we're building
most
like a social, an international, intercultural, social database of skills and knowledge and experiences in daytime call approach. It's extremely valuable. It's incredible. Like I've never heard of anything like it.
it's pretty no, it is pretty insane to be fair. It's you don't really understand it until the it's I think all the students have had this when they actually come and actually see it.
Yeah,
It's
and
like, oh right.
that's why you got approached in Belgrade by a guy, a total stranger at that time that you ended up coaching and giving the guy great results. That's why I had guys in the on the Splav club, the club on the water, were insta closing me, starting asking me questions, and I I mean I started having groupies. They were like young girls and young guys approaching me, asking me like, "Hey, I see Uh, approaching girls. What are you doing?" And the people where I was getting coffee were asking me if I was a YouTuber or something. So that's that's just
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. But especially when we come together as well. And this is not this. I'm really not saying this to gas ourselves up because I don't really care. My personal life is my personal life. Same with you. It's really thinking about students and thinking about
Mm.
what we're offering on this channel and what we can offer people who come and train with us. It's the stuff that we talk about that I know nobody else talks about because it's not actually being discovered. We like these guys like Bitcoin miners, like just mining more and more like absolutely legit hard currency. There's no because we I can see it with when I watch other channels and stuff. I can see the people who know what they're talking about, the people
Yeah,
who really don't, and even some people who they might even do some approaches and stuff and they actually look all right, but I can see straight away, no, you've got that, and that we need to just tighten you up on these things. And so, but
yeah,
that's all come from that's knowledge that you can't get that just on your own. You have to pool with other very skilled people who are, who are working on it. So we're major geeks on the approach thing, but we also have a lot of fun with it as well.
yeah. Definitely, definitely.
Good stuff. All right, mate. Well, I'll
No
leave you to
problem.
be texting all your princesses, and great to have you on the channel, mate. And I'll catch you again soon.
Thank you. See you. See you. See you guys.
Take it easy, mate.